Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's husband reportedly purged key officer official details from his $25 million venture capital firm's website. Now, this move comes amid growing questions about the couple's wealth and possible connection to the welfare fraud. According to her latest financial disclosure in May, the couple's net worth surged 3,500% in just 1 year. It estimates now putting it anywhere from $6 million to $30 million. Their net worth went up 3,500%. How do you explain that? And then talk about the scrubbing on the website. That doesn't look good. What's Walz doing about that? Is he looking into this?
Well, certainly not. I mean, he's certainly supportive of whatever they're doing. And this is one of the other things that we need to address is the extent to which members of Congress find themselves getting wealthy while they're in Congress. In this case, it appears by being completely in bed with all of the fraudulent activity that's going on in Minnesota. Of course, we should investigate this. Of course, should we look into what they're scrubbing from their website. I think we've got to explore this as far as we can, including potentially looking into denaturalizing and removing Ilhan Omar if she's violated our laws. And by the way, we should also ban stock trading among members of Congress, since we're talking about the wealth of Congress, and I have a bill to do that, and I hope we will do that next year. Mike Johnson, the Speaker, is working with us to do that. We have got to stop all of this flow of dollars that is corrupting our system, empower the American people to do what they do best, and we've got to pause immigration. I introduced a bill to pause immigration because we've got to stop this massive abuse of our system, using H-1Bs, using diversity visas. President Trump is exactly right to have frozen the diversity visas, to have stopped that, to freeze the flow from countries of concern. Remember that in 1920, when we had a high percentage of people that were foreign-born, we froze immigration for 40 years. And our country vanquished, the Nazis in Germany, freed the world. We did great things in those 40 years. We can do it again. That's why I introduced legislation to pause immigration. The president's right to do that, and I'm supporting him in that effort.
This is the FBI revealing they're on the case. Director Kash Patel confirming, quote, the FBI dismantled a $250 million fraud scheme that stole federal food aid meant for vulnerable children during COVID. That investigation exposed sham vendors, shell companies, and large-scale money laundering. The case led to 78 indictments and 57 convictions. The FBI believes this is just the tip of a very large iceberg, end quote. A Minnesota native and Alpha News journalist Liz Collin has been covering this scandal from day one.
A Hawala network is a bunch of money exchangers, hand to hand, not bank account to bank account.
Exactly.
And what is clear in Somalia and other parts is that Al-Shabaab, the largest Al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia, they have their hands all through this network. So taxpayer money, United States dollars, that are being remitted into Somalia, in part, have been utilized or have fallen into the hands of Al-Shabaab. Do you think that's a correct assessment?
Yes, we have plenty of evidence of that, from money directly going to Al-Shabaab, but then also indirectly because they take a cut of whatever gets sent to Somalia.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we see that the FBI is investigating Ilhan Omar and her husband at the moment, and I'm wondering, it doesn't take rocket science to see their wealth skyrocket within a year. Like, what is most appalling to me is the fact that they used innocent children as scapegoats, to supposedly feed them just to make themselves rich overnight. Americans struggle daily. Like, I know I have some American friends. I know people who work 2 jobs just to survive. Some even work 3. Trust me. Now, all these monies, all the income that they make from those jobs, they pay their taxes. And from these taxes they pay, the government gives allocation to different states to run the states. So all those monies that have been embezzled were from the sweat of Americans, the taxpayers. Like, wow. Your wealth grew over 3,500% in 1 year. Now you need to give facts and figures to show where those funds come from. Anyways, I don't want to speak too much at the moment. I'll roll out the videos so you guys can see, and we'll come back with some more commentaries. I give credit to all the original creators of the videos I have used today on this platform. Thank you guys, and don't go anywhere, just stay put, okay?
A $250 million fraud scheme. Already 77 people, many of them Somali immigrants, have been charged in one of the largest taxpayer-funded scams in U.S. history. Minnesota, home to the largest Somali community in America, has become the center of this massive investigation. This is the Feeding Our Future scandal, a pandemic-era scheme in which defendants allegedly stole over $250 million meant to provide meals for low-income children. Instead of feeding kids, prosecutors say the money went toward luxury homes, high-end cars, jewelry, overseas transfers, and an entire network of shell companies. According to the DOJ, the conspirators submitted fake invoices, fabricated meal counts, and even staged photos to make it look like they were serving millions of meals that never existed. In some cases, they claimed to feed more children than lived in entire neighborhoods. A federal jury found Amy Bach, the founder of Feeding Our Future, and Salim Ahmed Saeed guilty of conspiracy, bribery, wire fraud, money laundering. Federal officials say more arrests may still be coming.
The only reason we're even finding out about this fraud now is because we actually have free speech on the internet. Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, turning it into X, making that a free speech platform, forced the other social media companies to also be free speech platforms. If it weren't for that singular purchase, we probably wouldn't even know about this Somali fraud. There's no telling how much fraud occurred in the past that was immediately censored by the people who controlled social media platforms or the people who controlled media. Even when conservatives were in power in the past, we still had boundaries of political correctness that kept people from being able to talk about so many different costs that are imposed on our society. Because if you talked about them, that was offensive. And there's no telling how many perhaps billions, maybe trillions of dollars of costs imposed on our society have occurred in the past because you simply were not allowed to talk about them. So this really is probably only scratching the surface. And the only reason we're even able to find out about it is because people are allowed to talk about it.
Amy Bach, the former executive director of Feeding Our Future, who a jury convicted of facilitating $240 million in fraud meant to feed needy children, is ordered by a judge to pay back about $5.2 million. Bach's sentencing hearing hasn't been scheduled yet, but the judge signed the forfeiture order. It's worth noting that the Fed seized $3.6 million from her bank accounts. That goes toward the $5.2 million total that she personally benefited from the fraud. Having covered all these cases, I can tell you that is a much higher recovery percentage than most of the fraud defendants. I'm Lou Raguse. Follow for more news.
Breaking news just coming in. Fuck, is so annoying. Breaking news just coming in that the FBI surges resources to Minnesota as Kash Patel calls the $250 million fraud scheme as tip of the iceberg. Kash Patel, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, Mr. President himself, Donald J. Trump. What me and everybody else wants to see is what we voted for is an indictment, people in handcuffs on every single news station over there in Minnesota, as many as you can. I want to see every one of their single faces that stole the billions upon billions of dollars from the beautiful people over there in Minnesota, over to Somalia, over to the hands of Al-Qaeda, over to the very same terrorist organizations that are screaming death to America. That's it. That's all we're asking for. We just want to see the indictments, and we just want to see arrests being made. Even if it's that disgusting mayor over there of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, or if it's that disgusting, corrupt, just incompetent governor over there, Governor Tim Walz. I want to see corrupt Somalians in handcuffs being walked over to the airport on their way on a plane back over to Somalia. And then I want a message sent over to those terrorist organizations that have all of our money to either send us back a check now for every dollar that you have stolen from the American people, or we're going to wage war on every single one of those leaders and wipe their total existence off the face of this earth.
The very quick verdicts against Amy Bach and Salim Saeed come after a nearly 6-week trial. The jury saw hundreds of pages of documents, false meal claims, fake invoices, $1 million checks, testimony from some of the 37 people who've already pled guilty. For prosecutors, the evidence was overwhelming, they say, that Amy Bach knew. She submitted every false claim, wrote every check of the nearly $250 million in fraud. Bach's attorney sees it differently.
Amy's testimony was compelling. She answered all the questions that could have been answered.
He said he's shocked that she's now being detained until sentencing since she has no passport and no money, living with her parents. He was asked if she may express remorse at sentencing.
If there's any remorse, it's because of her children. I will go to my grave knowing, because I've reviewed the evidence, this is an innocent woman.
Salim Saeed is also now in custody, convicted of far more counts than Bach and described as one of the largest perpetrators of fraud. Nearly 30 defendants still await trial, but these quick verdicts just might bring more plea deals, prosecutors say.
Behind the attempted bribe of a juror in last year's Feeding Our Future fraud trial. Lou Raguse was in court this morning when Abdi Aziz Farrar pleaded guilty, and he has the update.
Guilty, Abdi Aziz Farah said to a judge when asked how he pleads in the wild case of an attempted bribe of a juror during his fraud trial 1 year ago. Farah was facing charges in the Feeding Our Future meal fraud case with his brother Saeed when he says they decided to raise money to pay off a juror for a not guilty verdict. Saeed Farah came up with $200,000, according to prosecutors, and Abdi Aziz says they recruited Ladin Ali to deliver the money. Worried she would steal it for herself, Abdi Aziz says he pulled his other brother, Abdul Karim, into the plot. Abdul Karim Farah admits driving Ali to the juror's house, stopping at Target to buy a screwdriver to remove the license plate first, then recording a video of her making the drop. Ali admits she still somehow managed to steal about $80,000 from the bag before delivering $120,000. Abdi Aziz says his brother sent him the video with the message, "Watch and delete." Then the next day, when Judge Nancy Brazel ordered the defendants to all turn over their phones, Abdi Aziz frantically reset it to factory settings. Aside from juror number 52, the jury wasn't aware of the attempted bribe as they moved forward with deliberations. They convicted Abdi Aziz of fraud, but found Saeed Farah not guilty. He walked out of the courthouse a free man, but was rearrested 2 weeks later when the group of 5 was charged.
This is more than just a mob movie. This is a chilling attack on our system of justice.
With Abdi Aziz admitting to his role as the mastermind in the plot, that leaves brother Saeed as the only pending case.
So now Abdi Aziz Farah is facing between 8 and 10 years in prison for the bribe, but next month he'll be sentenced for the Feeding Our Future fraud, and for that, he faces decades in prison. Julie.
Well, we're just so grateful, first of all, that juror came forward. But it also is stunning just how much cash that she could skim $80,000 off the top, and it could still be a $120,000 bribe.
Yeah, not only that, but they raised $200,000 with a goal of raising $500,000 because she initially lied to them and said that the juror would take the money if it was $500,000. So they were actively working on trying to raise more money.
Well, any indication that this was occurring in any of the other trials? There have been so many.
Nope, there's been no indication so far. We did have a case of that intimidation of a witness that happened in Amy Bach's trial, but other than that, there hasn't been any other further drama that we haven't reported yet.
All right. Well, we're glad to have a conclusion to this case. Thank you, Lou.
In one of the largest taxpayer-funded fraud schemes in U.S. history, federal prosecutors say a Minnesota-based network stole more than $250 million meant to feed low-income children. Authorities have already charged 77 people, many of them Somali immigrants, in what's now known as the Feeding Our Future scandal. Minnesota, home to the nation's largest Somali community, has become the center of this massive investigation. According to the Department of Justice, defendants exploited a pandemic-era meal program by submitting fake invoices, inflated meal counts, and even staged photographs to make it appear they were serving millions of meals that never existed. In some cases, they claimed to feed more children than actually lived in entire neighborhoods. Instead of feeding kids, prosecutors say the money paid for luxury homes, high-end cars, jewelry, overseas transfers, and a web of shell companies used to hide the profits. A federal jury has now found Amy Bach, founder of Feeding Our Future, and Salim Ahmed Syed, guilty of conspiracy, bribery, wire fraud, and money laundering. And federal officials say more arrests may still be on the way.
Wow. Okay, I did some research and I'm going to read it out quickly. Now, what we are hearing is that Ilhan Omar's husband reportedly poached key official details from his $25 million venture capital from his website. This move has caused growing questions about the couple's wealth. So what we're hearing is that he removed the names and bios of 9 key officers and advisors from the firm's website. That's between September and October 2025. The removed details included high-profile individuals. The removal occurred amid increasing scrutiny over the couple's significant interest in net worth, reported to have surged by 3,500% in 1 year, from less than $6 million to over $30 million. Neither Ilhan Omar or her husband has publicly commented on why the names were removed from the website. So because of these things happening, there's a lot of fire now on Ilhan Omar and her husband. So the FBI said that this is just a tip of the iceberg. I'm excited because the FBI is on ground and looking into, this fraud case, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot that needs to be unraveled, and it just surprises me. I can't even wait to hear the result. It's like it's taking too long. Let's know what's happening. Have they been found guilty? Everyone wants to know. I want to know as well. And I just can't wait to know what the FBI will find out. And as we all know, the US is a democratic country, and unless you are found guilty, nothing is going to be done. So, fingers crossed. Let's see how that unfolds. Guys, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time seeing my pretty face, please subscribe to my channel, okay? Thank you so much, guys. And as always, I want to give credit to all the videos I have used today, all the original content I have used today. I give credit to you all. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. And have an amazing day. Cheers.